They say growing
I
old is a
came with
privilege,
everything I had.
but no one warns you how cruel
It
it
still
feels
felt
when the
like
people
not
you love
enough.
most start treating you like a burden. My name is Rose, just plain
I
Rose.
came with everything
Not
I
Grandma
had.
Rose, not Nana,
It still
not
felt like
Mom,
not enough.
just Rose now. That's what they started calling me after a while.
I came with
Stripping away
everything
the
I
titles
had.
like they never meant a thing.
It still felt
It
like
wasn't
not
always
enough.
like this. I remember holding Daniel's hand on his first day of school.
I
He
came with
cried so
everything I
hard, his
had.
little Spider-Man
It
backpack
still
shook on
felt
his
like
shoulders.
not enough.
And Mayo, she used to bring me dandelions and call them roses.
I came
Her
with
way of
everything
being
I
fancy,
had.
she said.
It
I
still
was there
felt
for
like
every
not
fever,
enough.
every nightmare, every scraped knee. Their parents, my
I came
son
with
and his
everything I
sweet wife,
had.
were gone too soon.
It
A car
still
crash
felt
on a
like
rainy
not
night.
enough.
The kind of tragedy you never think will knock on your door. I stepped
I came
in.
with everything
I sold
I
my
had.
jewelry, turned my
It
sewing
still
room
felt
into a
like
kid's
not
bedroom,
enough.
and promised I'd raise them like they were my own. And I did.
I came
I
with
really
everything I
did.
had.
Fast forward 25
It
years,
still felt
and
like
here I
not
am,
enough.
standing in my own living room, while Daniel and Maya scroll through their
I
phones
came
like
with
I'm
everything
background
I
noise.
had.
The TV's loud,
still felt
blasting
like
some
not
reality
enough.
show. I'm holding a cup of chamomile tea, and my hands are trembling
I
not
came
from
with
age,
everything I had.
but from what I know is coming.
It still felt
Daniel
like
clears
not
his throat.
enough.
Grandma Rose, we need to talk. There it is.
I came with
sit down
everything I
slowly.
had.
Go on, dear.
It still
Maya
felt
looks
like
at
not
Daniel,
enough.
nudging him to take the lead. Coward, he always was.
I came
We've
with
been
everything
thinking.
I had.
Daniel begins,
It
his
still
voice
felt like
sugar-coated
not
and
enough.
hollow. This house, it's too big for you, and you've
I
been
came
having
with everything I
trouble
had.
remembering things.
It still
I
felt
forgot
like
your dog's
not
name
enough.
once, Daniel. That's not dementia. That's because you've
I
had
came
5
with
dogs in
everything I
3 years.
had.
I reply gently.
It still felt
He
like
ignores
not enough.
the comment. It's time you moved somewhere more structured.
I came with
There's
everything I
this nice
had.
facility near the outskirts.
It still felt
they
like
have
not
nurses and
enough.
activities and no family. I finish, my voice calm,
I came
but my
with
chest
everything
screaming.
I had.
Maya chimes in.
It still
It's not
felt
that we
like
don't
not
care,
enough.
Grandma. It's just you'll be better taken care of there. And we'll visit.
I came
all
with
the time.
everything I had.
I look at them, really look.
It still felt
Daniel's
like
wearing
not
a
enough.
Rolex. Maya's got designer nails and a phone she can't stop
I
checking.
came with everything
Their
I
lives are
had.
busy, shiny,
It still
fast,
felt like
and
not
I no
enough.
longer fit in. So this is it. I whisper. You're putting me away.
I came with everything
No one's
I
putting you
had.
away, Daniel says,
It still felt
annoyed.
like not
We're doing
enough.
what's best for everyone. Everyone, except me, I think.
I came with
The
everything
next
I
morning,
had.
they come with a van.
It still felt
Not
like
even a
not
proper
enough.
moving truck, just a dusty, rented van with a dent on the side.
I came
They've
with
packed
everything
my
I
things
had.
into 3 cardboard
It
boxes.
still felt like
That's
not
it.
enough.
75 years of life. Folded into taped-up containers
I came
with my
with
name
everything
scrawled
I
in
had.
black marker. Rose
It
L.
still felt like
I
not
stand at
enough.
the front steps of the house I built with my husband. I can still see his
I came with
handprints in the
everything I
cement by the
had.
garden path.
It still
I can
felt
smell
like
the pie
not
crust
enough.
I used to bake with Maya on Sundays. Now, silence. Daniel
I
closes
came
the
with
front door
everything I
behind me.
had.
Doesn't even look back.
still felt
the
like
drive
not
is long.
enough.
Awkward silence fills the car, only interrupted by Maya's
came with
giggling at
everything
something
I
on her
had.
phone. I look
It
out the
still
window
felt
at the
like
blurry
not
fields
enough.
and wonder if this is what betrayal tastes like, bittersweet memories with a
I
sour
came with
aftertaste.
everything I had.
The nursing home is beige.
It still
Everything
felt
is
like
beige,
not
the walls,
enough.
the curtains, the nurses' uniforms. It smells like lemon
I
cleaner
came with
and boiled
everything I
vegetables.
had.
A cheery
It
receptionist
still felt
greets
like
us.
not enough.
Welcome to Sunny Pines. I manage a nod. The name sounds
I
like
came
a
with
lie.
everything I
My room is
had.
small. One twin
still
bed,
felt
one
like not
plastic
enough.
dresser, one window with a view of the parking lot. The
I
wallpaper
came
peels
with
at the
everything
corners
I
like it's
had.
trying to escape.
It still
Daniel
felt
sets
like
my
not
boxers
enough.
down. All right, Grandma. We'll come visit next weekend.
I came
Maya's
with everything
already
I
halfway
had.
out the door. They
It still
leave
felt
before
like
I can
not
say
enough.
goodbye. It's quiet now. I sit on the bed, hands folded,
I
staring
came
at
with
nothing.
everything I had.
The room feels like a waiting
It
room
still
for
felt
death.
like not enough.
Like I'm not a person anymore. Just a name on a chart. But deep down,
I came with
I
everything
feel something I
had.
haven't felt in a long time.
still felt like
Anger,
not
not the
enough.
kind that screams or breaks things. The kind that simmers. The
I
kind that
came
waits.
with everything I
They think
had.
I'm just some old woman with
It still
shaky
felt
hands
like
and
not
fading
enough.
memories. But they've forgotten something important. I remember everything.
I came with
And
everything
if they
I
think they've
had.
written the final chapter of
It
my
still
story,
felt like not enough.
they single quotes re-in for a surprise. If you've ever felt
I came with
discarded or
everything I
underestimated,
had.
hit that subscribe
It still
button,
felt like
because
not
this
enough.
story is far from over. You'd think after raising 2 children,
I came
surviving a
with
war,
everything I had.
burying a husband, and raising
still
2
felt like
grandkids,
not
you'd be
enough.
allowed to grow old in peace. But no peace doesn't come in places
I
like
came
Sunny
with everything
Pines.
I had.
It's only been a week since
It
Daniel
still
and
felt
Maya
like
dumped
not
me here,
enough.
but it feels like years. Days blur into each other like paint and
came with
water.
everything I
Same
had.
food, same TV
It
channel,
still felt like
same
not
echoing
enough.
footsteps in the hallway. I sit by the window most of the time.
I
There's
came with
not
everything
much
I
to see,
had.
just a parking lot and a
It
rusting
still
swing
felt like
set no
not
one
enough.
uses. The real fun seems to happen in the staff break room. You
I
can
came
hear their
with
laughter
everything
through
I
the walls
had.
while the residents shuffle
It still
past like
felt like
forgotten
not
ghosts.
enough.
There's one nurse who speaks to me like I'm a child. Did you
I
remember to
came
go
with
potty
everything I
today, Ms.
had.
Rose? She
It
coos
still
like I'm
felt
4
like
years
not
old.
enough.
Smile sweetly and say, "Yes, dear." Right after
I
I did
came
my
with everything
taxes
I
and read
had.
Dostoevsky.
It
She
still
doesn't get
felt
the
like
joke.
not enough.
The others. They're kind, but tired, underpaid,
I
overworked.
came with everything
I don't
I
blame
had.
them. It's not their
It
fault
still
we're
felt
warehoused.
like not
Like
enough.
expired groceries, most of the residents barely speak.
I
Some
came
don't
with
remember
everything
who
I
they are.
had.
Others just
It
sleep,
still felt
wake,
like not
eat,
enough.
repeat. At night, I hear sobs through the paper-thin walls.
I
A
came with
man down the
everything I
hall cries
had.
out for a wife who's long
It
dead.
still felt like
A
not
woman
enough.
calls out to a son who never comes. I don't cry, not yet.
I came with
Instead,
everything
I
I
keep my
had.
hands busy knitting.
It
A
still
scarf
felt
no one
like
asked
not
for.
enough.
It keeps the ache out of my fingers and gives me something to do besides stare
I
at the
came with
door that
everything
never
I
opens.
had.
Daniel hasn't
It still
called.
felt like not
Maya
enough.
hasn't texted. Not even a voicemail. On the third Sunday,
I came with
decide to stop
everything I
pretending
had.
they'll visit. Afternoon,
It still felt
something
like not
strange
enough.
happens. I'm sitting in the lounge, flipping through a magazine from
I came
2009,
with everything I
when I hear a
had.
soft giggle.
It still
Not from the
felt like
TV,
not enough.
from a child. I glance up, there he is, a little boy
came
with
with
big eyes
everything
and
I
a chocolate
had.
bar half melted.
It
In
still
his
felt
hand,
like
he
not
looks
enough.
about 8, wearing scuffed shoes and a backpack with a missing zipper.
I came
He's
with everything
standing
I
beside a
had.
young woman in scrubs,
It
long
still
braids,
felt like
tired
not
eyes,
enough.
and a kind smile. She's signing in at the front desk. The
I
boy
came with
sees me
everything
looking.
I had.
raise an eyebrow.
It still felt
He grins,
like not enough.
waves the chocolate bar like a flag, and runs toward me before anyone can
I
stop
came with
him.
everything I
Hi,
had.
he beams.
It
You
still
look like
felt
my
like
great-grandma,
not enough.
but cooler. I blink. That right. What makes me cooler?
I came with
He
everything I
shrugs.
had.
Dunno, you look
It
like you
still
don't
felt
take
like
nonsense.
not enough.
I chuckle. I try not to. The nurse walks over,
I came
gently
with
pulling him
everything I
back.
had.
Jaden, don't
It still
bother the
felt like
residents,
not enough.
baby. He's not bothering me, I say, smiling at her.
I
He's the
came with
most
everything
interesting
I
thing that's
had.
happened here in weeks.
It still
She
felt
relaxes,
like not enough.
brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I'm Jasmine. Sorry,
I came
had
with
no
everything
choice
I
but to bring
had.
him to day school's
It
closed,
still
and I
felt
couldn't
like
find a
not
sitter.
enough.
No, apology needed. He's a breath of fresh air, I reply.
came with everything I had.
Jasmine hesitates, then
still
sits with
felt
me for
like
a
not
moment.
enough.
Jaden plops down at my feet, opening a sketchbook from his bag.
I came with
Wanna see
everything
my
I
drawings?
had.
He asks, of
It
course.
still felt like
He
not
flips
enough.
through page after page. Dinosaurs, superheroes, something that
I
might be
came
a
with
toaster with
everything I
wings.
had.
They're marvelous,
It still
I say.
felt like not
he
enough.
grins, all teeth. You're the first grown-up who looked at them properly.
I came
My
with
chest
everything
tightens.
I had.
No one had asked me about
It
my
still
knitting.
felt like
No
not
one
enough.
cared. I used to paint, used to dance, used to be someone.
I
But this
came with
little boy he
everything I
sees,
had.
me. Over the
It
next
still
few
felt
days,
like not
Jasmine
enough.
and Jaden become the only part of this place I look forward to. She
I
always
came with
brings him
everything I
something to do
had.
a book. Crayons,
It still felt
a toy
like not
and he
enough.
always ends up by my side, sharing stories or asking questions
I
that
came
only
with
kids
everything
dare
I
ask.
had.
Were you ever famous?
It still felt
no.
like not enough.
Were you ever in love? Once? Do you miss your family? I pause.
came with everything
Not
I
anymore.
had.
Jasmine always
It
thanks
still
me
felt
before
like
they
not
leave.
enough.
You're so good with him, she says. I think he needed someone
I
like
came
you.
with everything
She has
I
no
had.
idea. I needed him
It
more.
still felt like
One
not
afternoon,
enough.
Jaden gives me a crumpled note before he leaves. It's written
I
in
came
bright
with
green
everything I
crayon.
had.
Granny Rose,
It
I
still
know you're
felt
not
like
really
not
my
enough.
granny, but can I still call you that? My real one is gone.
I came
I
with
think she
everything
would have
I
liked
had.
you. Love, Jaden.
It still
I
felt
don't
like
cry,
not enough.
but I do go to my room and sit on my bed for a long, long time. In that
I came
moment,
with everything
something
I
shifts
had.
inside me. I'm not
It still
waiting for
felt like
Daniel
not
and Maya
enough.
anymore. I'm done hoping they'll remember me, because someone else
I came
already
with
did.
everything I
A
had.
little boy with a crooked
It still
backpack
felt like
and a
not
melted
enough.
chocolate bar gave me a better title than Grandma. He gave me family.
I came
If you
with
believe
everything
real
I
love
had.
chooses you not, just
It
shares
still
your blood,
felt like not
subscribe, and
enough.
stay with me. Because the best part of this story is just beginning.
I
It's
came with
strange how
everything
quickly
I
your heart
had.
can shift from empty to full.
It still felt
A few
like not
weeks
enough.
ago, I woke up every morning staring at beige walls and wondering how many
I
days
came
I
with
had
everything
left.
I had.
Now, I wake up
It still
wondering what
felt like
Jaden will
not
draw
enough.
next. Every afternoon, like clockwork, the front doors slide
came
open
with
and
everything I
there he
had.
is, running down
It
the
still
hallway
felt
with his
like not
untied
enough.
shoelaces and that wild grin of his. always holding something, a snack,
came with
a rock,
everything I
a
had.
mystery object he insists
It still
is
felt
magical.
like not
And
enough.
right behind him, his mother Jasmine.com/steady,
I came
beautiful
with
in that
everything
quiet,
I
tired
had.
way. She always
It
greets
still
me like
felt
I'm
like not
family,
enough.
like she's relieved I'm still here. No one's looked at me like that in years.
I came with everything
One rainy
I had.
afternoon, I invite
It
them to
still
sit with
felt
me by
like
the
not
big window,
enough.
the one I used to stare out of. Alone Jaden, busy trying to teach
I
me a
came
card
with
game
everything I
he half
had.
invented. I can't
It
keep
still
up with the
felt like
rules,
not
something
enough.
about reverse dragons and trap jokers, but I let him win anyway.
I
The
came
joy
with
on his
everything
face
I
is worth
had.
every fake defeat.
It still
Jasmine
felt like
watches
not
us with a
enough.
soft smile. Sipping tea, I asked the kitchen to bring us.
I
You're
came
good
with
with him,
everything I
she
had.
says. Better than most
still
people
felt
ever were
like
with
not
me.
enough.
You didn't have grandparents. Growing up, I asked. She shakes
I
her
came
head.
with everything
Never
I
knew
had.
them. My mom passed
It
when I
still
was
felt
10.
like not
Dad
enough.
wasn't in the picture. It was always just me. Then Jaden came along.
I came with everything
and now,
I had.
it's still just us.
It still
I look
felt
at her
like
really,
not enough.
look at her. There's strength in her posture. But it's the kind of strength
came
you
with
get from
everything
having
I
no
had.
other choice.
It
She
still
works
felt
double
like
shifts,
not enough.
barely sleeps, and still manages to braid her son's hair and iron his
I
little
came
school
with everything I
uniforms.
had.
That's not nothing.
It still
I
felt
say,
like not
that's
enough.
everything. She blinks quickly, maybe brushing back a tear.
I came with
maybe
everything
not.
I had.
Jaden jumps into her
It
lap
still
with a
felt
laugh.
like not
His
enough.
card game forgotten. Mommy, Granny Rose says I have an
I
artist's
came with
soul.
everything I
She
had.
did. Did she?
It still
Jasmine
felt like
grins.
not enough.
I nod. I meant every word. The next week,
I
Jasmine
came with
doesn't
everything
show up.
I had.
I sit at the window for
It still
hours,
felt like not
pretending
enough.
I'm not checking the clock. But they don't come, and again the next day.
I came with everything
On the
I
third
had.
day, I finally asked
It
the
still
front
felt
desk if
like
she
not
called
enough.
out sick. The receptionist frowns, flipping through the schedule.
I
Didn't
came
hear
with
anything.
everything I had.
Could be personal.
It
These
still
aides go
felt
through
like
a
not
lot.
enough.
You know. I nod and pretend to go back to knitting, but my hands
I
are
came
shaking.
with everything
not
I
from old
had.
age, from worry.
It still felt
Later,
like
that
not
evening,
enough.
just before dinner, I hear the sliding doors creak open. It's
I
her,
came with
but not the
everything I
Jasmine I
had.
know. She looks
It still
broken.
felt
No
like
makeup.
not enough.
Her uniform wrinkled, eyes puffy from crying.
I
She
came
walks
with
slowly,
everything I had.
like her bones are heavier today.
still felt
and
like
behind her
not
is
enough.
Jaden, unusually quiet, clutching a worn-out stuffed rabbit,
I
like
came
it's the
with
last
everything
thing he
I
owns.
had.
My
It
chest
still
tightens.
felt like not
I
enough.
rush over, or at least shuffle as quickly as my hips will let me. Jasmine,
with
are you all
everything I
right?
had.
She looks up at me and
It still
forces a
felt like
smile.
not enough.
Hi, Rose. Sorry we haven't come. I didn't want to bring all this
I
here,
came
but
with everything
I
I
didn't know
had.
where else to go.
It
I
still
lead them
felt
to my
like
room.
not enough.
The small space suddenly feels even smaller, but warmer with
I
them in
came
it.
with
She
everything
finally
I had.
speaks. Voice low,
It still
halting.
felt like
I
not
missed a
enough.
rent payment, then another, and the landlord. He doesn't care about
came with
excuses.
everything I
He gave
had.
us a week to get out.
It still
she looks
felt
away,
like not
ashamed.
enough.
I've got nowhere to go. Rose, not with Jaden,
I
not
came
yet.
with everything
I
I
just
had.
need time. A month,
It still
maybe
felt
2.
like not
I
enough.
reach for her hand. You've been carrying the world alone for too long, sweetheart.
came with everything
You shouldn't
I
be ashamed
had.
of needing help.
It still
She
felt
squeezes
like
my
not
hand.
enough.
I didn't know who else would even care. I look at Jaden, now
I
curled
came
up
with
on my
everything
bed,
I had.
already half asleep.
It still
You
felt
found the
like
right
not
person.
enough.
I whisper. That night, I don't sleep much.
I
My
came
mind
with everything
races.
I had.
I think about the money I
It
still
still
have
felt
tucked
like
away.
not enough.
The accounts Daniel and Maya don't know about, the land my husband
I
left
came with
me in his
everything
will
I
that I
had.
never sold. I never
It still
told my
felt
grandchildren.
like not enough.
They assumed I was just ... Old and poor ...
I came
Let
with
them
everything
assume.
I had.
I'm done being invisible.
It still felt
I'm
like
done
not
being
enough.
used, but for Jasmine and Jaden, for them I feel something I thought had died in
I
me.
came with everything
Hope.
I
The next
had.
morning, I call
It
an
still
old
felt
number
like
I
not
haven't dialed
enough.
in years. Simpson and Lyle Law Offices. A voice answers.
came with everything
This is
I
Rose
had.
Langford. I need to
It
update
still
my
felt
will.
like not
A
enough.
pause. Yes. MAAM. When would you like to schedule that?
I came with everything
Immediately.
I had.
If you believe family
It
is who
still
shows
felt
up,
like
not who
not
shares
enough.
your bloods. This story is only getting deeper. There's a strange
I
energy
came
that
with
fills your
everything I
chest.
had.
When you finally decide
still
to stop
felt like
surviving
not
and
enough.
start living again, it's not loud. It doesn't announce itself.
I
It
came
just
with
flickers
everything I
like a
had.
candle in a dark room.
It
And
still
suddenly,
felt like
the
not
darkness
enough.
isn't as terrifying anymore. That's how I felt the morning after Jasmine
came
told
with
me about
everything
the
I
Prost
had.
eviction. While the
It
rest
still
of the
felt like
facility
not
buzzed with
enough.
medication rounds and the same lifeless chatter, I had one mission in
I
mind.
came with everything
something
I
bold.
had.
Something I hadn't
It
done in a
still
long
felt like
time.
not enough.
Take back control. First, I called my lawyer, Mr. Lyle.
I came with
He'd been my
everything I
husband's
had.
friend back in the 70s.
It still
A
felt
bit
like
forgetful
not enough.
now, but sharp when it mattered. He came in person to the nursing home,
I came with
dressed
everything
in
I
a tweed
had.
suit that smelled like
It still
mothballs and
felt
pipe
like not
tobacco.
enough.
We sat in the tiny TV room while a game show blared in the background.
I came with
I want to
everything I
change my
had.
will. I said
It
plainly,
still felt like
everything
not
I
enough.
own, every last cent, property, account, asset goes to
I came with
Jasmine and her
everything
son
I
Jaden.
had.
He blinked.
It still
Not your
felt like
grandchildren.
not enough.
I raised an eyebrow. They stopped being my family the moment they
I
left me
came
here.
with everything I
He
had.
hesitated. Are you sure?
It still felt
You might
like not
regret. I
enough.
already regret giving them 25 years of my life. His pen
I
started
came with
moving.
everything I had.
Next came the bank.
It
I had a
still
separate
felt like
account
not
Daniel
enough.
never knew about. One I opened after my husband died. It
I
held the
came with
proceeds
everything
of a
I
small
had.
land sale I made in
It still
1998.
felt like not enough.
Enough to matter. The balance was still there. Untouched.
I came
Growing
with
slowly
everything
from
I
compound
had.
interest and my refusal
It still
to trust
felt like
anyone
not
else with it.
enough.
The bank manager, a young woman in red lipstick and
I
fake
came with
lashes,
everything I
looked at
had.
me like I was some sweet,
It still
clueless
felt like
granny,
not enough.
until I handed her my power of attorney letter and demanded a full transfer summary.
I came with everything I
Her smile
had.
disappeared real quick.
It still
You single
felt like
quotes
not
Ray,
enough.
planning to liquidate everything. I nodded.
I came
Let's
with
just
everything
say
I
I'm
had.
investing in someone who never
It
made me
still
feel
felt
small.
like not
By the
enough.
weekend, everything was in motion. I had the funds. I had
I
the
came
plan.
with everything
I
I
even had
had.
the old key to my cottage.
It still
the one
felt like not
Daniel
enough.
refused to sell but never bothered to check after moving me out. I called
I
a
came with
locksmith to
everything
change
I
the
had.
locks, called a cleaner
It
to
still
scrub the
felt like
walls
not
and air
enough.
out the years of dust. And then I made one more call. That
I came
evening,
with everything
Jasmine
I
arrived
had.
with Jaden, her
It
eyes
still
tired
felt
and
like
red.
not enough.
She looked even thinner than before. Like stress had started to carve her
I
down
came
to the
with
bone.
everything I had.
I got a warning notice,
It
she
still
said
felt like
softly.
not enough.
We've got 2 days. I smiled. Then we better start
I
packing.
came with everything
They didn't
I
understand
had.
at first.
It
When I
still
led them
felt
to the
like
front
not
doors
enough.
of Sunny Pines with my suitcase, Jaden clung to my arm like he
I
was
came
afraid
with
I was
everything I
disappearing
had.
again. Where
It
are we
still felt
going?
like not
Granny
enough.
rose. Home, I said, patting his hand. Our home.
I came
the
with
taxi
everything
ride
I
was
had.
quiet. Jasmine
It
kept
still
stealing
felt like
glances
not
at me
enough.
like I was having a senior moment. I didn't blame her, but when we pulled
I
into the
came with
cottage
everything I
driveway and I
had.
handed her the key,
It still
her
felt
hands
like
started
not
to tremble.
enough.
I don't understand. This house was mine long before my
I came
grandkids
with
turned their
everything I
backs on me.
had.
Now it's
It
yours
still
too.
felt like
She
not
looked at
enough.
me, her voice cracking. Why? I stared at her.
I
Because
came
you
with
saw me
everything
when
I
they
had.
didn't. You gave me
It
love
still
with nothing
felt
to
like
gain.
not enough.
You gave Jaden a heart full of compassion. And me. You
I
gave me
came
a
with
reason to
everything I
keep waking
had.
up. She shook her
It still
head,
felt like
tears
not
falling
enough.
freely now. You didn't have to, I wanted to. That night, we
I
didn't
came with
unpack
everything
much.
I had.
Jaden ran barefoot through
It
the
still
backyard
felt like
it was
not enough.
Disneyland. Jasmine and I sat on the porch under a sky full of stars,
I came with
sipping
everything
tea
I
and watching
had.
the boy chase
It
fireflies.
still felt
I
like
forgot
not
what
enough.
peace feels like. She whispered. I nodded. So did I.
I came with
Inside,
everything
the
I
cottage was a
had.
mess of cardboard
It
boxes
still
and
felt like
mismatched
not
dishes,
enough.
but it felt more like home than anywhere I'd been in years. I even
I came
unpacked
with
an old
everything
oil
I
painting
had.
I'd done in my 40s
It
one
still
I
felt
kept
like
hidden
not
under the
enough.
nursing home bed. It was a picture of 2 sparrows perched on a fence.
came with
3
everything
days
I
passed,
had.
then weeks.
It
We
still
settled
felt
into
like
a rhythm.
not enough.
Jasmine worked her shifts again with more confidence, knowing her son was
I
safe.
came with everything I
Jaden went
had.
back to school and started
still
leaving his
felt
little
like not
sketches
enough.
all over the cottage. And me. I started living. I baked
came
again.
with everything I
danced in the
had.
kitchen when no one was
It
looking.
still felt like
I painted
not
on the
enough.
back porch with sunlight on my face. The spark that had been nearly snuffed
came
out
with
at Sunny
everything I
Pines now
had.
burned bright inside me.
It still felt
and the
like
most
not
beautiful
enough.
part, they didn't treat me like a guest. They treated me like family.
I came with everything
One night,
I had.
I got a call from Daniel.
It still felt
the phone
like
buzzed
not
with a
enough.
number I knew by heart but hadn't seen in weeks. I stared
I
at
came
it
with
as it
everything
rang.
I had.
Then I pressed decline.
It still
If
felt
you've
like
ever
not
had to
enough.
walk away from people you loved in order to love yourself, subscribe.
I came
because
with
this story
everything I
is no
had.
longer about loss.
It
It's
still
about
felt like
rising.
not enough.
You don't spend 75 years on this earth without learning how to play the long
I
game.
came with everything
I may
I
have been
had.
quiet all these years,
It
but I
still
was never
felt like
naive.
not enough.
When Daniel and Maya were still teenagers, I began saving
I
things
came with
important
everything
things.
I had.
Papers, documents,
It still felt like
passbooks,
not
investment
enough.
records. I locked them away not because I didn't trust them, but because
I came with
I
everything
knew
I
one day
had.
they'd forget who built the
It
ground
still
beneath their
felt like
feet.
not enough.
That day came sooner than I'd expected. But now I was
I
ready
came
to
with
remind
everything
them.
I had.
One morning, while Jasmine
still felt
and
like
Jaden
not
were at
enough.
school and work, I opened the closet in the guest room. The one no one
I
ever
came with
touched.
everything I had.
Tucked in the back was a small
It still
lockbox,
felt like not
gray
enough.
heavy covered in dust. The key still hung from the chain around my neck.
I
I
came with
unlocked it.
everything I
Inside
had.
were the last things
It
in this
still
world
felt
I
like
truly
not
owned.
enough.
A deed to a parcel of land just outside the city. Original
I came
stock
with everything
certificates
I
from a
had.
textile company my husband
still
invested
felt
in
like
during
not
the
enough.
80s, still growing quietly. 3 bonds in my name, set to
I
mature
came
in
with
just 6
everything I
months.
had.
A letter from my late
still
husband,
felt like
written
not
in
enough.
cursive so elegant it looked painted. In case the world ever forgets your
I
worth,
came with everything
remind
I
it.
had.
I stared at the words,
still felt
tears
like
stinging
not
my
enough.
eyes. I'm going too, I whispered. I brought everything to
I
Mr.
came with
Lyle that
everything
same
I
afternoon. His office
It
smelled
still
like old
felt
wood
like
and
not
peppermint,
enough.
and his receptionist remembered me by name. He spent an hour going
came
through the
with everything
documents,
I had.
whistling quietly.
It still
You've been
felt like
sitting on a
not
gold
enough.
mine, Rose, he said, shaking his head. Let's
I
not call
came
it a
with
gold
everything I
mine,
had.
I replied. Let's call it
still
justice.
felt like not enough.
He smiled. So, what's the plan? I leaned forward.
I came
I
with
want
everything
Jasmine
I
and
had.
Jaden set for life.
It still
Not
felt
just
like
comfortable,
not
I want
enough.
them protected. This house, the accounts, everything goes to
I
them.
came with everything
and the
I
others,
had.
he asked carefully.
It still felt
Daniel
like
and
not
Maya,
enough.
my blood, they get nothing. A few days later, I started
came with
noticing
everything
Jasmine
I
acting
had.
off. She wasn't
still
herself.
felt like not enough.
She still smiled, but there was something behind it. Something tired.
I came
Her
with
eyes looked
everything I
heavier,
had.
her shoulders hunched when
It
she
still
thought no
felt
one
like
was
not
watching.
enough.
I caught her one night at the kitchen table, staring at a pile of overdue
came
bills
with
and eviction
everything I
papers she
had.
hadn't thrown away yet.
It still
Why
felt
didn't you
like
tell me
not
things
enough.
were still hard? I asked gently. She jumped. I didn't want to
I came
burden
with
you.
everything I
You've done
had.
more than enough.
It
I
still
placed my
felt
hand
like
on
not
hers.
enough.
You're not a burden. You're the blessing I never saw coming.
I
She
came
started
with
to cry,
everything
not
I
the dramatic
had.
kind, but those
It still
silent,
felt like not
shameful
enough.
tears you only shed when life keeps kicking you after you've already fallen.
I came with
I handed
everything
her
I
a folded
had.
piece of paper.
It
What's
still
this?
felt like not
she
enough.
asked. Something that'll change everything. She opened it slowly, her
I came
eyes
with
scanning the
everything I
words.
had.
Her hand flew to her
It
mouth.
still felt like
This
not
is a
enough.
trust fund. I nodded. In Jaden's name, accessible
I
when he
came with
turns
everything
18.
I had.
Until then, you're the
It still
guardian of
felt
every
like not
cent.
enough.
Her voice cracked. Why would you do this for us? Because I've watched
came
people
with
I
everything
loved
I
turn
had.
cold and greedy. And I've
still
watched you
felt
give
like
and
not
give and
enough.
give, with no one pouring back into you. Let me be the first to
I
change
came
that.
with everything I
She
had.
reached across the table and hugged
It still
me.
felt like
Really
not
hugged
enough.
me. I hadn't felt that kind of embrace in years, and just like
I
that,
came with everything
knew
I had.
I wasn't just giving her money.
It still felt
I
like
was giving
not
her the
enough.
future no one ever gave me. Of course, life has a way of dragging old
I came
ghosts
with
to your
everything I
doorstep.
had.
A week later,
It still
Daniel
felt
called
like
again.
not enough.
This time, I answered. Hello, I said, keeping my voice cool.
I came
Grandma.
with everything I
Finally,
had.
I was starting
It still
to think
felt
you'd
like
blocked
not
me.
enough.
I considered it, I replied flatly. He chuckled nervously.
I came with everything
Look,
I had.
Maya and I have been talking.
It still
we
felt
feel
like
terrible
not
about the
enough.
nursing home thing. Honestly, it was a mistake. I said nothing.
I came with everything
We've been
I
meaning to
had.
visit. He continued.
It still
but
felt
you
like
know,
not enough.
work, kids, life, it's been crazy. I'm sure. I said.
came with everything
What
I
do you
had.
want, Daniel? There was a
still felt
pause.
like not
I heard a
enough.
rumor from one of your old neighbors that you moved back into your cottage.
came with everything
that you're
I
not
had.
alone. I let the
It
silence
still
stretch.
felt like not
then he
enough.
added, "Are you planning to update your will?" There it was, not
I
concern.
came with everything
not
I had.
love. Curiosity wrapped
still
in greed.
felt like not
I
enough.
smiled to myself. I already did. He hesitated. And
I came
where
with
do Maya
everything
and
I
I fit
had.
into it? You don't.
It still
He
felt like
laughed,
not
but it
enough.
wasn't real. Come on, Grandma. That's not funny.
I
I'm not
came with
joking.
everything I
Wait,
had.
are you serious right
It
now?
still felt
as
like
serious
not
as you
enough.
were when you left me to rot in that beige box you called a care facility. The
I
line
came with everything
went
I
quiet.
had.
I gave you everything
It
I
still
had,
felt like
Daniel,
not enough.
and you left me like a broken chair on the curb. Jasmine and Jaden
I
picked
came
me
with
up,
everything I
so they're the
had.
ones who inherit what's
It
left.
still felt like
His
not
voice
enough.
cracked. You're making a huge mistake. No, I made a mistake
I
trusting
came with
you.
everything I
then I
had.
hung up, and I never
It
picked
still
up again.
felt like not
I
enough.
always believed in second chances, but not third ones. Daniel's
came
call
with
shook me
everything
more
I
than I'd
had.
like to admit.
It
Even
still
after
felt
all
like
they'd
not
done,
enough.
part of me hoped for a shred of remorse, a flicker of the children I once
I
held
came
in
with
my arms.
everything I had.
But no, they hadn't changed.
still
they
felt
just
like not
realized
enough.
I still had value, and that realization was the final straw. The next
I
day,
came with
sat on the
everything I
back porch
had.
with a notebook on my lap and a
still
cup
felt
of
like
warm
not
tea in
enough.
hand. Jasmine was inside, prepping dinner, humming to a soft jazz
I came
tune,
with
playing
everything
on her
I
phone.
had.
Jaden sat
It still
cross-legged
felt
on the
like
wooden
not
steps,
enough.
carefully drawing a picture of the three of us, me, him, and his mom with
I
stick
came with
figure
everything
arms
I
and
had.
huge. Smiling,
It still
heads I
felt
watched
like
him,
not
my
enough.
heart full. They had become my world. I opened the notebook.
I
Its
came with
pages filled
everything
with
I
numbers,
had.
dates, passwords,
felt
and
like
handwritten
not
letters.
enough.
All the information Jasmine would need if anything ever happened to me.
I came with
I wasn't
everything
planning
I
to go
had.
anywhere soon, but life
It still
rarely
felt
asks
like
for your
not
permission.
enough.
I finished the letter I'd started a week ago. This time, I
I
signed
came
it
with
properly.
everything I had.
To my real family.
still felt
Love
like not
always,
enough.
Granny Rose. I sealed it in an envelope marked for Jasmine only
came
and
with
tucked it
everything
under
I
the loose
had.
floorboard in my bedroom,
It still
the
felt
one
like
Jaden
not
liked to
enough.
call our treasure spot. That night, as we finished dinner, Jasmine
I came
received
with
a knock at
everything
the
I
door.
had.
She opened it, and
It
the
still
air
felt
shifted
like not
instantly.
enough.
Daniel stood there, uninvited, unapologetic, wearing
came
a
with
smug
everything I
expression and
had.
holding a bottle of cheap
It
wine.
still felt
like that
like
made
not
up for
enough.
everything. Thought I'd drop by, he said, like we were old friends.
I came with everything
Jasmine
I
looked at
had.
me, frozen.
It still
It's all
felt
right,
like not
I said
enough.
quietly. Let him in. Daniel walked in, taking in the
I came
modest
with
but
everything
cozy
I
living
had.
room. His eyes
It
scanned
still
the
felt
family
like not
photos
enough.
Jasmine had placed on the walls, the drawings Jaden had taped near the fridge.
I came
The
with
small
everything
potted
I
plant
had.
with the label Granny's Garden.
still
I
felt
see
like
you've
not
made yourself
enough.
comfortable, he muttered. I tilted my head. This was my
I
home
came with
before it was
everything
ever
I
yours.
had.
He cleared his
It
throat,
still felt
clearly
like not
rehearsed.
enough.
Listen, Grandma, I've been thinking about what you said on the
I
phone.
came with everything
about the
I
will,
had.
about everything.
It still
No,
felt
I
like
was
not enough.
harsh. I admit that, but we're family, and I think
I
we
came
both
with
made
everything I
mistakes.
had.
Maya and I want to make
It still
things right.
felt like not enough.
I looked him dead in the eye. Did Maya send you? Or are you here
I
because
came with everything
she wants
I
her name
had.
back on the will? His
It
jaw
still felt
clenched.
like not enough.
Silence answered for him. Did you know? I continued. That Jasmine
came
has
with
made me
everything I
breakfast every
had.
single day since I came
It
back.
still felt like
That
not
Jaden
enough.
brings me flowers he picks from the garden, even when it's just weeds.
I came
Daniel
with everything I
looked
had.
away. You want back into
still
my
felt
life
like
now
not
that you think
enough.
it's valuable again. But where were you when I sat in that beige room alone?
I came with
When
everything
I waited by
had.
the phone every Sunday,
It still
hoping
felt
you'd
like
remember
not
who
enough.
raised you. His voice turned defensive. You never said you were
I
unhappy.
came with everything I
shouldn't
had.
have needed to.
It
He
still felt
opened his
like
mouth,
not
but I
enough.
raised my hand. You will always be my blood, Daniel.
I came
But you
with
are no
everything
longer
I
my
had.
family. I've already
still
written the
felt
final
like not
chapter of that
enough.
book. He turned to Jasmine, maybe hoping for an ally, but
I
she
came
just
with
stood
everything
beside
I
me,
had.
arms crossed,
It still
expression
felt like
unreadable.
not enough.
I think it's time for you to leave, she said softly. He scoffed,
came with
took
everything
one
I
last look
had.
around, and muttered,
It still
You'll regret
felt like
this.
not enough.
No, Daniel, I said, standing tall. You will. After
I
he
came with
left,
everything I
Jasmine looked
had.
worried. Do you
It
think
still
you'll try
felt like
anything?
not enough.
Maybe, I said, but it won't matter. That night, I called
I
Mr.
came with
Lyle
everything
again.
I had.
Finalize everything,
It still
I said.
felt like not
He
enough.
chuckled softly. Done already. Jasmine and Jaden are now
I
legal
came with everything
beneficiaries
I
of your
had.
full estate. The
It still
paperwork
felt
is
like not
airtight.
enough.
I exhaled for the first time in days. Thank you. The next
came
morning, I
with
sat with
everything I
Jaden in the
had.
backyard, watching
It
him
still
draw the
felt
sky
like
in
not
bright
enough.
purples and oranges. The sun was rising behind him, casting
I
soft
came
light
with
over the
everything I
garden.
had.
Granny rose.
It still
He
felt
asked
like
without
not
looking
enough.
up. Yes, baby. Are we your real family
I
now?
came with everything
smiled
I
and pulled
had.
him into my lap.
It still
You've been
felt
my
like
real
not
family
enough.
from the moment you offered me that melted chocolate bar. He giggled,
I
snuggling
came
into
with
me.
everything I had.
Jasmine stood at the doorway,
It still
watching
felt
us
like
with
not
misty
enough.
eyes. And in that moment, surrounded by simplicity and love,
I came
I
with
knew
everything
Daniel
I
and Maya
had.
could take their greed elsewhere
still
because
felt
I
like
already
not
had
enough.
everything I needed. If you've ever had to walk away from your past to protect your
I
peace,
came with
subscribe.
everything I
The
had.
ending of this story will stay
It
with
still
you forever.
felt like not enough.
I never imagined I'd fake my own death. But then again, I never
came with
imagined the
everything
people I
I
raised
had.
would toss me out like an
It
old
still
couch
felt like
and only
not
come
enough.
crawling back when they smelled money. Mr. Lyle had suggested
with
the idea.
everything I had.
If you want to know what they truly
It still
value,
felt like
let
not
them think
enough.
you're gone, he said, his voice low and steady. You'll see exactly
I came
who
with
they
everything
are.
I had.
I wasn't thrilled about it.
It
My
still
heart's
felt
too
like
old for
not
games.
enough.
But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
I
Let
came
Daniel
with
and Maya
everything I
show their
had.
true colors. Let
It
the
still
vultures
felt like
circle.
not enough.
Then let them choke on the bones. It started with a legal notice delivered to
came
both
with
of them by
everything I
certified
had.
mail. The estate of
still
Rose
felt like
Langford
not
is being
enough.
executed. Beneficiaries are expected to attend the will reading
I
in
came with
person.
everything
I
I
wasn't
had.
dead, of course.
It still
But they
felt
didn't know
like
that.
not enough.
I spent the day of the reading at a friend's cabin outside the city off-grid.
I came
Quiet,
with everything
peaceful.
I had.
Jasmine drove me
It
there
still felt
herself
like
and
not
promised to
enough.
call the moment it was done. I sat on the porch, wrapped in
I
a
came
soft
with
shawl,
everything I
sipping
had.
warm cocoa as the sky
still
turned
felt like
orange
not
behind the
enough.
trees, waiting. Later that evening, my phone buzzed.
I came
Jasmine,
with
I picked up
everything I
immediately.
had.
Well, she didn't
It
answer
still
right
felt
away.
like not enough.
Just a quiet breath. Then, They showed up in suits. Rose,
I came
actual
with
suits.
everything I had.
I chuckled. Of course
It
they
still
did.
felt like
They
not
had
enough.
that look, she continued, like they were trying not to grin,
I
but
came
couldn't
with
help
everything
it.
I had.
Tell me everything, I
It
said,
still felt
settling
like
back
not
in my
enough.
chair. According to Jasmine, Mr. Lyle welcomed them into his
I
office,
came with
which had been
everything I
rearranged
had.
to feel more dramatic,
It still
curtains
felt like
drawn,
not
a
enough.
single lamp casting shadows across the desk. Daniel leaned back in his
I came
chair
with
like he
everything I
already owned the
had.
place. Maya
It still
crossed her
felt like
legs
not
and immediately
enough.
asked, "How much are we talking?" Mr. Lyle didn't
I
flinch.
came with everything
He
I
opened a thick
had.
folder and began.
It still felt
Rose
like
Langford
not
was a
enough.
woman of simple means, he said, but her heart was large.
I
She
came with
valued
everything
love,
I had.
loyalty, and truth above
It
all
still
else.
felt like not
Daniel
enough.
sighed, clearly bored with sentiment. Then Lyle continued.
I
And
came with
so,
everything
she has
I
left
had.
everything. To the
It
people
still
who
felt
showed her
like
those
not
things when
enough.
she needed them most. Silence. Daniel blinked. Maya leaned
I
forward.
came with everything
What?
I had.
Mr. Lyle looked up.
It still
She left
felt
her
like
entire
not
estate
enough.
property, investments, bonds, and remaining cash to
I
Jasmine
came with
Carter and
everything
her
I
son
had.
and dead quiet, then
It still
chaos.
felt like not
Daniel
enough.
jumped to his feet. You're joking. You're actually joking.
I came with
Maya
everything I
slammed her
had.
hands on the desk.
It
We're
still
her
felt
blood.
like not enough.
That girl is a nurse. She's nobody. She was somebody to
I
Rose.
came with everything
Mr.
I
Lyle
had.
replied coolly.
It still
Daniel's
felt like
face
not
twisted.
enough.
We took care of her for years. She's clearly been
I
manipulated.
came with everything
This
I
isn't
had.
legal. Oh, it's
still
very
felt
legal,
like not
Lyle
enough.
said, tapping the folder. Rose signed every page. She
I
had
came
full
with
capacity.
everything I had.
No coercion.
It still
It's
felt
all
like
notarized
not
and on
enough.
record. Maya's voice dropped to a hiss. She lost
I
her
came
mind
with
in that
everything
nursing
I
home.
had.
That's the only
It still
explanation.
felt like not enough.
Then came the final blow. Mr. Lyle slid across a sealed envelope.
I came
This
with
letter was
everything
written
I
by
had.
Rose. She asked that
still
I read it
felt
aloud
like
to you
not
both.
enough.
He cleared his throat. To Daniel and Maya, if you're hearing this,
I came with
must no
everything I
longer be in
had.
your world, or perhaps
still felt
you are
like
no
not
longer in
enough.
mine. I gave you my life. I gave you my hands, my sleep,
came
my
with
tears,
everything I
my
had.
years. But when I
It
needed you
still
most,
felt like
you
not
vanished.
enough.
Jasmine and Jaden gave me something you never did. Time,
came with
respect,
everything I
warmth,
had.
not out of duty,
It still
but out
felt
of love.
like not enough.
And so, my legacy belongs to them now. I hope one day you
I
learn
came
that
with
blood
everything
doesn't
I
make you
had.
family. Love,
It still
Rose
felt like
Jasmine
not
told me.
enough.
Daniel stormed out before the letter finished. Maya followed,
I
slamming
came
the
with
door so
everything I
hard the
had.
window shook. They
It
never
still
asked
felt
if I
like
was really
not
dead.
enough.
They only cared about what I left behind. Back on the porch,
I came with
exhaled
everything
deeply.
I had.
You okay?
It still
Jasmine
felt
asked
like not
softly.
enough.
I'm perfect, I whispered. I was for the first time in years.
I came with
The
everything
next
I
morning,
had.
we returned to the cottage.
It still felt
Jaden
like
was
not
waiting
enough.
at the door, holding up a picture he'd drawn. It showed me Jasmine
I came with
and him
everything
sitting
I
under a
had.
big tree. Above
It
it,
still felt
he'd
like
written,
not
"My
enough.
forever family." I hugged him tighter than ever. 2 weeks later,
I came with
the story
everything
made
I
its way
had.
around town. Some
It
said
still
I was
felt like
heartless.
not enough.
Others called me legendary. I didn't care. Because in this house,
I came
laughter
with
echoed
everything
through
I
the halls
had.
again.
It
Jaden
still
played
felt
music
like
in the
not
living
enough.
room. Jasmine sang while she cooked. And I spent my days
I
painting
came
in
with
the
everything
sunlight.
I had.
I wasn't a burden anymore.
It still felt like
I was
not
cherished.
enough.
If you believe the best kind of revenge is living a full, peaceful
came
life,
with everything I
subscribe,
had.
because the final chapter
It
will
still
leave your
felt
heart
like
glowing.
not enough.
People always talk about the end of a story like it's something tragic. But
came with
sometimes,
everything
the
I
end is
had.
just where real life begins.
still felt
It's
like
been
not
3
enough.
months since the will reading. 3 months since I watched my so-called grandchildren
I came
expose
with everything
themselves,
I had.
completely chasing what they thought
It
was a
still
pile of
felt like not
inheritance,
enough.
never realizing they'd already spent their real treasure long ago. Me.
I came
Since
with everything
then,
I had.
I've lived more than I have in the
It
last
still
20
felt
years.
like not enough.
The house is no longer quiet. Jaden turned the living room into his
I
gallery.
came with everything I
The walls
had.
are covered in his wild little
It still
drawings,
felt like
grannies
not
with
enough.
capes, sons with sunglasses, and trees with hearts on their trunks.
I came with
he even
everything
made
I
one of me
had.
wearing a golden crown,
It still felt
labeled
like not
Queen
enough.
Granny of Real Love. I framed it. Jasmine's been studying again
I
in
came
line
with
classes
everything
in the
I had.
evenings. She wants to
It
become
still
a
felt
registered
like not
nurse and
enough.
open a daycare for single mothers on the side. You inspired me, she
I
told
came
me
with
one night.
everything I had.
I want to give other women
It
the
still
same
felt
second
like
chance you
not
gave
enough.
me. I don't cry easily anymore. But I nearly did then.
I came
and
with
me,
everything I
well,
had.
I paint, I read,
It still
I
felt
nap
like
in the
not
sunlight.
enough.
I bake banana bread that Jaden pretends to hate but devours by the
I
slice.
came with everything
I have
I
dinner
had.
with people who look me in the
It
eye
still
and
felt
say,
like not enough.
"Thank you" before bed. I've stopped waiting for the phone to ring. Daniel and
I
Maya
came
never
with
called
everything
again.
I had.
I'm not angry anymore.
It still felt
I'm
like
free.
not enough.
One quiet Sunday, I sat with Jaden on the porch swing. wrapped in a soft
came with
blanket.
everything
The
I
late
had.
afternoon sun painted the
It
garden
still
in
felt
gold.
like not enough.
The birds chirped in the background like it was scripted. Granny rose.
I
He
came
asked,
with everything I
swinging
had.
gently beside me.
It
Yes,
still felt like
baby.
not enough.
What happens when people get really, really old? I smiled. They
I
get
came
wise.
with everything I
He
had.
giggled. New. I
It
mean.
still felt like
After
not
that,
enough.
I looked at him. His big, curious eyes. His heart still pure.
I came
still
with
open.
everything I had.
They become part of the people
It
they
still
love.
felt
I
like
said
not
softly.
enough.
Their stories stay. Their kindness echoes. They never
came
really
with
leave. He
everything I
nodded,
had.
then leaned his head on my
It
arm.
still felt like not
I'm
enough.
glad you're mine. I kissed the top of his head. I'm glad you're mine too.
I came with
Later
everything
that
I
week,
had.
I made one last visit
It
to
still
Mr.
felt
Lyle's
like not
office.
enough.
He looked surprised to see me walking on my own. No cane.
I came with
cheeks
everything
rosy,
I had.
eyes clear. Rose,
It
you
still
look
felt
better
like
than
not
ever,
enough.
he said. I feel better than ever, I replied. We went
I
over the
came with
final estate
everything I
updates.
had.
Jasmine was now joint
It
owner of
still
the
felt
cottage.
like not
The
enough.
trusts were secured. Jaden's education fund was set up. And an
came with
emergency
everything
savings
I
account
had.
was linked to Jasmine's name
still
only.
felt
I
like
want
not
them
enough.
protected, I said again, firm as ever. Even if I'm not here.
I came with everything
he
I
smiled,
had.
pen in hand.
It still
You've
felt
already
like
done
not
that,
enough.
Rose. They're going to be okay. One evening, Jasmine and
I
I
came
sat
with
outside
everything I
watching the
had.
sunset. The sky
still
looked like
felt like
melted
not
sherbet
enough.
orange, pink, lavender. We didn't talk. We didn't need to.
I came
There's a
with
kind of
everything I
silence that
had.
doesn't feel empty.
It
It
still
feels
felt
whole.
like not
After a
enough.
while, she turned to me. Do you miss them? Daniel and Maya.
came with
I
everything
thought
I
for a long
had.
moment. I miss who
It
they
still
used to
felt
be,
like not
but not who
enough.
they became. She nodded, understanding. Sometimes,
I came
people
with
don't grow
everything
with
I
you.
had.
They grow away from
It
you.
still felt like
I just
not
hope,
enough.
I said, they learn before it's too late for someone else. Weeks
I
passed.
came with everything I
Seasons
had.
shifted. Flowers
still
bloomed,
felt like
and
not
Jaden
enough.
lost a baby tooth. He demanded the tooth fairy leave $2. Because
came with
inflation,
everything I
I gave
had.
him 5. Why
It
not?
still felt
On
like
the morning
not
of my
enough.
birthday, I awoke to the smell of cinnamon rolls and laughter in the kitchen.
I came with
Jaden
everything
burst
I
into my
had.
room with a paper crown
It
and a
still
balloon
felt
he'd
like
blown
not
up himself.
enough.
Happy birthday, Granny Rose. Jasmine followed,
I came
holding
with
a tray of
everything I
breakfast,
had.
beaming like the sun.
It still
and
felt
right
like
there,
not
in my
enough.
cozy old cottage, surrounded by love that chose me, not love
I
that
came
felt
with
entitled,
everything I
I
had.
realized something important.
still felt like
this wasn't
not
a
enough.
second chapter. This was the real beginning. Not the kind where
I
I'm a
came with
background
everything I
character
had.
in someone else's life,
It still felt
but
like
where
not
I'm the heart of a
enough.
home. Later that night, I wrote a letter. My last
came
one.
with everything I
maybe.
had.
I folded it neatly
It
and
still
tucked it
felt
into
like
my
not
journal.
enough.
To anyone who finds this, if you're ever left behind, discarded,
with everything
or
I had.
underestimated, remember
It
this.
still felt like
Family
not
isn't made
enough.
of blood. It's made of kindness, of laughter, of people who
I
show
came
up.
with everything I
Don't
had.
waste time begging to be seen
It
by
still
those who
felt
only
like
look
not
at you when they
enough.
want something. Find the ones who look for you just to say good morning.
I came with
They're your
everything
real
I
story.
had.
Hosey Langford, if
It
this
still
story
felt
touched
like
your
not
heart,
enough.
hit subscribe, because sometimes the greatest revenge,
I came with
is
everything
simply
I
living a life
had.
full of love.